Hi, everyone. Welcome to another Practical Awakening with Di and Anjali. Today's topic, how to deal with daily demands while seeking enlightenment or being serious about your spiritual development. Hello, Angie. Okay, shall we start with our usual 5 minute thing? Let's start with that. Let's get into it, really. Whether you close your eyes or whether you keep them open, we're sinking either way. Sinking with the breath and the mantra, entering the space, spreading everywhere. The space. It's calling, it's pulling, it's welcoming. The heart is opening. And everything is falling away. We could just stay there Here we could just, but now we are slowly contemplating a topic of daily demands. Do they interfere with spiritual seeking? Are they part of spiritual seeking? Can we make them a part of spiritual seeking? Do they take up too much time? Is there a certain time needed every day for spiritual seeking? Angie, what do you reckon?
It's hard to come out of that space. Um,
Yeah. Don't come out all the way, just see if you can
mm,
stay 1 foot and just sort of open your mouth and see what comes out. That's what I do.
yeah,
I
I
don't know
have
if
to
it works for
say,
everyone.
yeah, it's interesting just because it's been such an like a week of inner turmoil for me, and I find that space with you, and the question arises: can we have a, how did you say it? Like a, can spiritual practice continue as we go through daily issues that we need to resolve, in the process of living? And it comes so easy to say yes, of course, it's an easy fit. The worldly stuff will resolve itself. Just keep focusing on the thought, like just not attaching to the thoughts as they come. And that's where I fall into the hole. There's like, I'm at a certain point where I can let go of certain kinds of thoughts, but another one will come and sort of like, you know, uh, just totally derail me. And I'm off and running with something that feels so big I can't seem to manage. And I try then to think my way out of it, problem solving, you know, that kind of thing. But the space, though, this space is where I want to be, the space right now.
But when you get derailed by for a biggie, when you get derailed by
Mm.
a biggie, and there are biggies in everyone's life, let's not forget about that. No life is different. There are biggies in everyone's lives. And then we gel with it, and then we just start with this frantic problem solving, which is usually what we
Mm.
do when we are inside it. And then we swing this way, that way, whichever way the thoughts go. Thoughts sometimes go this way and then they can go that way, and they go in different directions, and becomes a little bit of a mess in a way. And the more frantically we try to find our way out, the more frantically we are sort of gelling with the biggie.
Mm.
So it's all somehow becomes really, really even bigger, even bigger, even bigger with this sort of frantic problem solving.
I
So I
feel
would
like I
say,
have. I feel like I have my foot caught in a fishnet and I can't seem to like shake it free. I mean,
yeah. So I would say, number one, start doing something. Just start taking a different action, not mental. When you realize, and we're at this stage now, most of us who find ourselves on this channel, that we do realize, which is already a big tick, okay? We do realize that we are caught in a biggie, okay? We
mm,
do realize that. So realize that, we go and do some action that is not related to any of it. We will do some exercise, physical. We would lie down on the ground, do some whatever. You can do whatever is
Mm.
suitable for you. You do yoga, you do stretching, you do fitness, whatever you do. Or you get up and you go for a walk, or you get up and you do something physical. And then you try to just sit with the thought, try a few times to get closer to it, the biggie, to get closer to it after a while and sit with it for a few minutes and then let it go again and sit with it for a few minutes and so on. It's just a gradual sort of a being able to get closer and closer to the thought, familiarize yourself with the thought more and more without actually being caught in it. So this is the process we are trying to do. We're
Mm.
trying to make this thought not a biggie, but just one of the thoughts that we're actually quite capable of observing. Okay. This is the process. This is our aim. And in order to do that, we have to just use some real serious action first, physical action, to get ourselves out of it when we are really, really overwhelmed. And then slowly try this approach of slowly, gradually getting to the thought through the breathing and mantra for just a minute to, gradually making it less and less engulfing, less and less big, and trying to be able to approach it as just another thought.
Mm.
Gradually, it actually works. It needs persistence, it needs
Mm.
patience, and it needs action. Action needs to be taken where it needs to be taken. The longer we sit with it and being engulfed and trying all this problem solving and this and that and being swung this way and that way, the longer we do that, the longer we suffer that, the bigger it actually becomes, the more it becomes engulfing, and the more difficult it is later on to sort of approach it and approach it and approach it. So we have to cut it with the some physical action, and then gradually return to it with short bursts of breathing and mantra, and just try to
Mm.
make it just another thought, which it actually is, Angie. In
It is.
theoretically, it is just another thought. The thought could be very distressing in a way, as I'm going to lose my livelihood. I won't have enough money to pay my next month's rent. I don't have
Mm.
enough money to buy my groceries. There are thoughts that are, oh, I've just got diagnosed with cancer. Obviously, that is, they gave me like 3 months to live. Obviously, that's a biggie. There are biggies and biggies. They're all biggies. Let's not make any
Mm.
mistake. The fact that you cannot buy the groceries, or the fact that you're not getting your next paycheck and so on, is at the moment as big as being diagnosed with the cancer and having 3 months to live. There is not a bigger or smaller, because it all hits us in an overwhelming sort of a way. So some people say sometimes, oh, I know I have this problem, but it hits me really hard. But I know it's such a small problem because other people have even bigger problems. This is not going anywhere, okay?
Mm.
Every problem that's big for you, it's a big problem for you. Let's put it that way. And it doesn't matter whether it's a question of life or death, or question of something that could be small for someone else. For you, it is not small, okay? It is big. So you treat it like that, and you approach it gradually.
So the nature of the physical is like totally separated. You're just moving the body, and it has nothing necessarily to do with the issue or the biggie that's appearing.
No, but you wanna cut this sort of, when you're really in it, when you're really overwhelmed, you need something really strong, some really strong action to cut it. It's not enough to just breathe, because sometimes the overwhelm is so big that all the breathing
Mm.
and all the mantras in the world or whatever doesn't really
Right.
do the job. Some people jog, some people go for a walk, some people run, some people do yoga and they can sink into the things. Some people ride a bike, some people go and clean in a very determined and strong manner. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Not just, you know, like this, but like that. And you get yourself a little bit exhausted, you pump your muscles a little bit, you do something a little bit to actually pull yourself out, and it works. And then you gradually approach it, gradually, persistently, for short bursts with the mantra and the breath, till you till you get it to some sort of a size that's manageable. That's just manageable as any other thought.
And that's a
It's a
different time
process.
frame for everybody. That process looks different for everybody, you're
Absolutely.
saying. Okay.
Absolutely. Absolutely. When I started, I used to use walking, fast walking. That was my favorite. Yoga, because I could just really
Mm.
fall into it, fall into, even to me, when I was still completely overwhelmed, even to me, even just to go and lie on the ground, just completely
Mm.
lie on the ground, just stretch out. And even that actually helped me with the overwhelm. But we all different. We all different. That's what worked for me. Some people go and fucking sorry, and chop the wood if they have, or you know what I mean, do something that's really getting them out of that sort of a sinking overwhelm. Different for everyone. Try even first, if you are inside the house, try even that, just lie on the ground on a carpet, just completely get grounded.
Mm.
You see, it's not just getting grounded as actually physical thing, but it's usually helps with getting grounded even inside the space a little bit, not be caught completely in the
Mm.
thoughts. You have to tinker with it and find whatever works for you.
So
But there is
what
something
deter
for
go
everyone.
ahead. Yeah.
No, no.
What determines, I guess this is the biggest question of like all the questions tonight, is what determines when someone needs to make a physical shift in their environment versus just the mental shift that you're talking about. It's not even a mental shift, but you're talking about a shift, like getting into the stream and separating from the thought, if you know what I'm asking. So let's take a practical
I
example.
do.
So, my example, for those that don't know, it looks like I may owe a significant amount of money, 7,000 US dollars, for some back health insurance. And that would pretty much wipe me out, where I sit now, having not worked for a year. So the question is like, how do I know then when it calls for an action shift? Um, Versus, it seems to me now, just sitting here with you, even in this 10 minutes that we've been doing this, it just feels like the shift has mentally happened for me. I mean, there is distance from the thought, there is an ease with the thought, and there's an okayness with what is. But how do you know if let's say you're taking care of parents, dependent parents, and you just have responsibilities? How do you know when you need to actually take a physical shift, or is it all just shifting your attachment to the thought?
You see, Angie, when we sit with people who are in space, we open our own space, and things seem much easier. Everything is much more at ease. Everything is much more open. Everything is possible. But then when we are on our own and we sort of get caught inside this sort of a thought, sort of a processes which drag us one direction, the other direction, when they actually, we spend a lot of time being dragged around in these thought processes. And on the
Mm.
ground, if we look at our actions, we don't really do anything about it. And then we look at it 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Our inner fight might be getting bigger outside those intervals when we're in the space. So we can have on one side intervals when we are in the space and everything is just fine. And then we have these
Mm.
intervals when we're not in the space and when we are sort of completely overwhelmed with this inner struggle, gelling with the thoughts and going one way and the other way and one way and the other way, which renders us passive and immobilizes us. And usually happens that we do not make any move because we're just not capable of making any move, because what move to make?
Right.
What move to make? What will decide what move to make? What will decide what move to make is action in that case. You need to take
Mm.
action, and you need to put, let's say you have thoughts that are mainly going in two opposite directions. One direction is this, and one direction is that. And there is no way in this world or another life or any lifetime that you can possibly work out which one is the right way. So we'll just go one way and take action that way, take action that way, see how it goes, see how it feels, see how it fits you, and then
Mm.
go from there. Action is needed. Otherwise, there is no way that you are in a position going on like this and resolving things just with the sitting and mental sort of gymnastics, or, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because your space is when you are in the space, and when you are not in the space, then you are in the thoughts. And when you are in the thoughts, you cannot resolve this issue in any other way than with action. And then just take
Mm.
action in one direction completely. Go for it, 100%. Okay. Do not hold anything back. You say, okay, I'm trying this direction now, and I give it 100% and see how it goes. If it shows that it's not the right direction, okay, I know because I tried it. I was there, I did it, and
Mm.
no, absolutely not. So I can write it off. And now I'm going to go in this other direction, action, again, 100% back up, see where it is. And then, your path will become clearer and clearer and clearer. Because you see, aren't you, once you are in the space all the time, you have clarity all the time.
Mm.
A biggie comes and you are able to sit with, I have biggies too still, but I'm able to sit with them and piece through them. I'm able to sort of see them and have clarity about the
Mm.
direction. That comes with time, when these periods when you are inside the stream, which you already have, but they are at the moment, they are not throughout the day and night, but they are sort of separate segments of time. When these
Mm.
periods stretch overall, then you will not be ever caught inside the fort, okay? But at the moment, you're not there yet, so you need to just take an action and actually experience on the ground, what is this direction? How does it feel? Or what is this direction? How does it feel? And give it all. Not to say, oh, I haven't really tried. Yes, you try 100%. You know what I mean? When you say this is the
Mm.
direction, you give it 100%. You're not holding anything back. You're not saying, oh, it might be. No, this is the direction. Off we go. And it proves on the ground not to be, then cross. I mean, you cross
Right.
it out. That's what I mean. It's not it.
Right.
And then you go that other way. And in the end, you can say, it can become obvious that none of these two direction is actually the right direction. Okay. But your path will have already, I mean, your number of choices would have already become much, much narrower than it was before. And it will be easier to
Mm.
sort of see the direction.
Right.
Action absolutely is needed.
Would the same thing apply to, say, people? One of our questions was people that have responsibilities, daily responsibilities for dependent, either children or older parents. And so, how do they manage to integrate their spiritual life with those kinds of high demand situations?
You see, the way I always looked at it, and it hasn't changed since I'm in a stream, I always put this responsibilities number one. For me, this is always a priority. Whether it's a dependent child or whether it's a parent that's become dependent, for me, this is A1. I'm going to do everything in my power to take care of that responsibility that I feel completely in sync with. I can see no way in this world that I would not do things for the child that is dependent. My child is not dependent anymore, but he can be in need still one
Mm.
day, and I will put everything else on a back burner, and this will be my number one priority at that time. I also, as you know, have a father who does not live in Australia but is is struggling with his health and in a serious way. So I do everything in my power from here. I talk to him, I try to advise him, I look up things for him and all that every day to make his passage of time that he's in now more comfortable, more at ease, more this,
Mm.
more that, you know what I mean? This is my priority. Like, even if I was still practicing and not to practice for hours because of that, it would not worry me. It would not worry
Mm.
me. This is it. I can't see how this can be not done because I am sort of on a spiritual path. Or, of course, you are still on a spiritual path. You have not, written it off completely. There are 24 hours in a day and so on. You can still, it never takes 24 hours, or it might take a lot of time, as you know, Angie, because you used to care for
Mm.
your dad and it took up a lot of time. But I just find this something that is completely, for me, and it hasn't changed before or now in the stream, completely untouchable. Okay, this is responsibility that you're doing this regardless, never, doesn't matter what.
Yeah.
And then you tinker with this time for the spiritual, and you also use your spiritual practice and while you are doing these things whenever you can. Sometimes I talk to dad, I'm on the phone with dad, and I go a little bit deeper, and I can feel how dad is sort of getting into it a little bit too on the other side. Okay, like you and me when talk and we go a
Mm.
bit deeper into space, and that other person can actually, you allow that other person to get a bit deeper into the space too. It works with people who, even people who are never, who have never even thought of any spiritual whatever, you know what I mean. My dad is completely atheist, whatever you call it. There is nothing but what
Mm.
is physically, you know what I mean. And I'm never presenting him much, a little bit here and there, a few drops, but I never touch that conviction of his or whatever. But I do whenever I can. I open the space a little bit so he can enter and he feels more at ease and he feels a bit less of pain. There are ways and ways and
Mm.
ways. So I don't really see it as separate. I also see, Angie, honestly, while we're still in the physical world, I see some responsibility towards the community, whether that's a local community or a wider community. That's why I make these videos. That's why you and me put an effort into this and all that, because there is some responsibility. There is a lot of suffering, a lot of pain in this world, a lot of, I know there is the
Right.
other side too, but, so we try and contribute that little bit that we can, to ease that, to, and I find that as a responsibility too, and I actually take it seriously. I personally feel, and now it's not that much of a personally anymore, but still I feel, what's the point of a life if I don't give anything? What's the point of me going on? I
Mm.
just, somehow I
Right.
just, this is where I'm at. I just don't feel much point of. But you see, Angie, again, we all serve in, there are so many different ways of serving, Angie, okay? So many different ways. It all depends on a person, like, there is no prescription. What is your way of serving
Right.
or what is my way? Once you're in a stream, you just go with the stream, Angie. The stream takes you, so you serve whichever way stream takes you. So there's no questions there. But before that, I mean, you serve in a way that's in sync with you. It's in sync with your presence, in sync with, that fits you. Well, let's put it that way. That fits you.
Mm. And sometimes that's not so clear. Mm.
No, but again,
Right.
Angie, you see, you have to try different things
Mm.
actually actively. So you try maybe this volunteering actively and see whether this is your way of serving. And if it doesn't fit you, you say, no, cross that out. This is not my way of
Mm.
serving. Am I, I don't know, doing it in a different manner, in a more secluded environment, on this or that? Is this my way of serving? Or I'm just throwing things around now. I'm just saying we have to find the way that suits us, that is us, like,
Right.
by doing it, by just going one way and trying it out physically. And then if it's not working, going the other way, trying it out physically. We spend a little bit of time doing it, but it's not wasted because we know exactly where we are at.
Right.
And there are things like I I weighed it in my case. Now I'm obviously I work 15 hours a week, which is not a lot. I go to the op shop, I do a few hours, a few hours, which is quite nice. I enjoy it. I don't mind it at all. You know what I mean? Like, but this is not a
Mm,
full-time job, Angie, okay? We need to understand that. I also do a lot of things, obviously, at home because I've got a bit of a bush and a property and I need to maintain things all the time, blah, blah. But this is not a full time job either, is it? I mean, I do it when I feel like it, when things need to be done, I do it,
right.
you know what I mean? Like before, when I was I used to have my own businesses and stuff like that. And then my son was growing up and there was hardly any time whatsoever to do anything at all.
Mm,
And the only thing I did was I did a bit of yoga. I started my yoga like 20 years ago when I was at work and I had problems with this and that, a few physical issues, and there was not much time. And there were all these other
mm,
priorities that I've taken very seriously. So did a bit of yoga. And I think honestly that through yoga over the years, I actually got more and more into the space too. You know what I mean? That wasn't my intention,
interesting.
but
Mm,
you know how it grows on you? Angie, because you did
mm,
yoga. Yoga actually grows on you. You start by just lying on the ground and do a little stretch here, a little stretch there. And then you actually lose yourself a little. No,
mm. Yeah, I
people
got
might
it.
know what I mean. You just sort of enter the space a little bit. You just sort of become a bit lighter even through that. Although it's just a physical thing, and yoga itself, I want to stress this out. Yoga itself is not going to get you enlightened. Let's be serious about this. But
Mm,
it will help you access the space with time, when you are persistent with it. I struggled with it at the start. I thought, oh, it's just a chore, it's just a burden. But I persisted. I persisted. And then I realized, oh my God, I mean, this is working. This is actually
mm,
working. And then there were times when I just did it. I mean, instead of watching TV, I used to watch TV lying on the ground in the evenings, doing a bit of yoga. And then I would forget about TV and all that. I didn't even realize. And I would just sort of do yoga after a while, while TV was still
interesting.
going on. But, you know, there are ways and ways and ways and ways. But I
So
think that this,
back to, oh, go
please,
ahead. Go
please,
ahead.
Angie, I've talked so much now.
No, I just, uh, I'm just trying to feel into like the viewer topic just a bit more. So you say that there, if you have, for instance, parents at home, elder parents that you're taking care of, or young children at home, and you said carry that practice, into the day. I mean, we're not talking about a sitting practice. And unfortunately, when I was taking care of my dad, I noticed a lot of resistance to that care because it went on 24/7. It was all night, all day, and it just kept going. There's no break. There's hardly any sleep. Just little cat naps here and there. And it's a tag team with my mom. So there was a lot of resistance, and I didn't know to look for that at the time. I was just aware, like, I was getting angry that I couldn't fit my sitting practice in. And that was a whole nother thing too, just to watch that happen. And then I just gave up. I said, this is what I'm supposed to be doing, taking care of my father right now. And, you know, I don't have time to sit. And had I known maybe a bit more, had I met you earlier, I would have perhaps known how to integrate a practice during the day. And I'm wondering if you might like say something about that again. I know some of our viewers will already know, but for those that just tuning in.
Yeah. You see, I just want to touch on something. When you have this resistance, and because it obviously interferes with the things you want to do and stuff like that, it makes everything much
Mm,
worse and much more difficult and
mm,
much heavier than it could be. So it's good to even sit with that resistance, and you know what I mean,
mm,
like, and spiritual practice. I always say that, and I'm very serious about this. Very serious about this. A lot of people think really have this conviction somehow that if we sit and sit and sit, and the longer we sit and the more we sit, and the more quicker we will get to some, spiritual awakening, or quicker we will get enlightened and all that. That is actually not the case.
Mm.
really want to stress this very strongly. I would also say, I will go even one step further, and I will also say this. I could be very wrong, but on some level, I'm not wrong. We could go in a monastery and physically do all the things that they ask us to do and follow all that and still never get enlightened in this lifetime.
Mm.
It is not like that. It is not like that. It is not a straightforward thing that the more you see, the more this, the more that, the more you push, the bigger resistance actually could be. I
Mm.
always advise, and this is what I did, and I find it much easier, and the resistance was much less. Just do it, with short intervals, try it and incorporate it into your daily life. There are so many things in daily life that really you can do a bit of practice while doing that. Do it while with someone who is a bit open to it. Like if you have a partner who is a bit open to it, you have a child who is still small
Mm.
enough to be open to it. Small children are very open to it, very. It's just no one on the other side to actually introduce them into it, but they're very open to
Mm.
it. I mean, practice with them. You don't even have to tell them that you're practicing, but you know what I mean? Like, there are so many things, occasions in a day, in 24 hours, before you go to sleep. It's a beautiful time when you're already sinking a little bit naturally, towards
Mm.
sleep. But then you strengthen that even more with the practice. We just practice. I mean, just the breath and the mantra. Don't go to any elaborate things. Just strengthen your natural flow. In the evening or whenever your sleep time comes, but a little bit before your sleeping time, so you're not completely already gone. But don't do some sort of official sitting, whatever practice elaborate, but just do the breathing and the mantra and just help that natural flow to even deepen and strengthen. Even first time in the morning is a beautiful time when you're not completely yet awake, like 100% switched on and the thoughts
Mm.
start swirling. There is that period when you wake up straight away. That's a good period for even a couple of minutes of breath and a mantra.
Mm.
A break at work, mowing the lawn is beautiful. I mean, I find it such a wonderful accompaniment, or what do we call it?
Right.
Accompanying of, look, everyone's different, but there are so many things, Angie, in everyday life, so many things. Because as I said before, look, we live in this world, physical world, there are things that need to be done, and there is no way around it, okay? Let's make that clear. There's no way around it. If you
Mm.
live in some sort of environment where you need the rent, when you need the mortgage, when you need money for this, when you have kids that are dependent, where you have whatever, you need to have a job, these are things we cannot just, say, I don't care, I'm just going to spiritually, whatever. That's rubbish, you know what I mean? These are the things that need to be taken care of. There is no question about it. There is no point even wasting time, even thinking about these obvious things. I never wasted my time on any of that. What for? If something needs to be done,
Mm.
and just get on with it, do it. You know what I mean? What's the point of fantasizing about not doing it or whatever? If you need to do it, you just do it. Obviously, you can find ways to do it with less time, to do it more efficiently, and la 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 la. You know what I mean?
Right.
So you will have maybe a bit more time for practice. Throw out things like chatting, small talking, watching too much TV, whatever, blah blah blah, and practice instead, or practice while watching TV can work. There's a lot of rubbish on TV, but we are focused
Right.
on a certain point in front of us, and there is rubbish, 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 but we can get to space just because we are focused on the screen. You see, that screen is the
Mm.
focus. There are so many ways, Angie, really, there are. Just be flexible and
That's
just never, never
interesting
think.
about. Yeah.
Yes.
Sorry, about a TV. That's interesting. So
Yeah.
you're looking at the, are you actually hearing then the whatever is being blobbed on about
And you can hear
like,
everything. You can hear everything and see everything. That's not a problem. But it's just
hmm,
rubbish, and with time it just flows by and flows through and goes, comes and goes and comes and goes, and you don't really, often, Angie, if you will not, I will give you a good example of this. I used to love test cricket, watching test cricket. It goes on. I don't know if you're familiar with test cricket, but it goes on for days and days and days. Anyway, this is the point, Angie. It goes on for days. There is in between very little action. It's very slow and stuff like that.
mhm,
But it allows you to focus yourself on a certain point. And when there
interesting.
is not this much action and all this, you're just really sinking into the space. I love
Hmm.
that because there was, you know what I mean?
Mm.
And I was so at peace. I was so at peace watching this test cricket. I could do it for, it goes on with like, it goes on for 5 days, theoretically, and 8, 9 hours in one day, theoretically. It can be shortened, but you know what I mean? I'm
Right.
talking theory here. I could do it, Angie, all the way through, all the way through. five
Hmm.
days in a row. If I had time, I probably didn't. But if it was a night time, I could do it. Yeah, you see what I
Hmm.
mean?
Yep.
And I tell you honestly, Angie, I didn't realize it at the time, but I was well in a space,
Hmm.
because there isn't that much thing going on that you can be engaged fully all the time. That's what I'm saying. There's so much crap on TV, you know what I mean? That really,
Hmm.
you can just focus and then get in. I don't know. I don't watch TV nowadays, but I'm sure there are still many programs that are just not even worth watching.
Oh,
But there is a
yeah.
screen that you can focus on.
Interesting. So the noise doesn't disturb then or anything. Like you could watch a noisy American football game and like I find the noise is a bit disruptive.
Angie, once you're in a stream and you hear everything, but it's not disturbing.
It's like the
Like I can
dog.
hear, like here can
Yeah.
now be a tractor that makes a lot, believe me, a lot of noise. Or when I do the mowing, especially if I'm on a ride on, which is a big machine, it makes so much noise, Angie, that it's just unbelievable. A lot of people wear the muffs, but I don't wear the
Mm.
muffs. It doesn't bother me. A lot of people have asked me, why don't you bloody put it on? I said, it doesn't bother me. I mean, I can hear it, Angie, but
Mm.
I'm not engaging with it. You see the difference? And
Yes.
because I'm not engaging with it, it doesn't bother me. I wasn't always like that.
Yeah. Well, there's some sounds that still get me, like that dog was barking before when you were, doing the 5-minute
I know.
practice, but it wasn't,
I
it was
could
like,
integrate
oh,
it.
hmm.
Yeah. But you see, when you go deeper into the stream, you can integrate all that. You can hear it, but
That's what I
it's
was
not a
doing. I was
bother.
just hearing it. It was nothing. It was not even a bother. It was not
That's
even
it.
like, oh, I need to shut the window or deal with it. But for some reason, like there's other
No,
noises which are more of a disturbance, but that just is more about where I am at that place and how deep or not deep I am.
that's it. That's it. So you know from your own
Mm.
experience that when you go really deep, I mean, lots of noises can happen, loud noises, and it's just part of the space. It's not disturbing. It's not, in any way.
So here is a question for you, which is a little off topic, but since we're on this noise thing, if I'm sitting in like absorptive kind of meditation and I kind of lose I'm not aware of my body anymore, so to speak. I know it must be there because I know there's breathing going on, but there's nothing that I'm feeling about my body. So if there's any kind of a noise that's even mildly sharp, it's like an electric shock going through my body. It's just like that's like an autonomic response. So I've since been wearing earplugs when I do like just sitting meditation because I don't like that kind of response. It's kind of like a sweaty electric jolt. And I don't know, is that just because I'm not deep enough and that would just blow by me?
Sometimes there are physical reactions that are just physical reactions. Like the knee jerk and whatever. When they tap you on the knee or to see whether it's like automatic
Mm,
physical reactions. But they pass in a sec, less than a sec, a split second. So it should not be disturbing. But sometimes
mm,
when people sit, they sit mentally. They put a lot of focus on not feeling the body and all this and blah blah. But I tell you something, Angie, honestly, this is absolutely not important.
mm.
Whether you feel the body or not, whether everything is there or not, this is absolutely not important.
But the noise, though, that's what I guess the thread that we were following. I was trying to figure out how to stop because I don't like I guess it's just a dislike for the nervous system responding that way.
But that's what I'm telling you, Angie. You see, if it's a
Mm,
noise that body reacts to independently, it
mm,
passes in a split sec. So why would that bother you? Why would you need to put
mm.
the plugs in? That's my question.
Yes, I got it. It doesn't matter.
No, unless you are sitting more mentally than not. I want to touch
Mm,
this thing. A lot of people practice sitting and they practice mentally. You can mentally say, okay, I'm not having any thoughts. I'm not engaging with the thoughts. All in the head, all mentally. I've blocked now all the thoughts. It's all good. It's all fine. I'm just, not feeling the body. This is all great now. I'm mentally progressing. Mentally progressing. It can happen. That's why the
mm,
breath and the mantra are so good because it actually phases out the mental involvement completely. If you can just do that, it can happen. Angie, there are a lot of people who are engaging with a practice and who never get enlightened, but they practice and practice and practice and practice for decades, a lifetime, because they're really practicing still more on a mental level than not. It is possible. It is
mm,
possible. They're still mentally engaging while now feel my legs, I don't feel my arms, I don't feel my nose, whatever, and blah, 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 blah. They're still mentally checking all this. This is mental engagement.
mm.
And they're happy, making progress, they're getting deeper. You see, you get me? How
Yes.
I'm mentally now progressing with my meditation, mentally. And I am making progress with my meditation. I'm mentally noticing that I'm not engaging with the thoughts. I'm mentally noticing that I don't feel my legs or my arms, or you see, I
Mm,
just want to point that. That's why sometimes people who, and I've met these people, and I have some of these people who have contacted me, who have been practicing this sitting meditation for years and decades, Angie. Not They were not slouching, they were very, very um persistent, very
mm,
self-disciplined, and they were making progress, Angie, okay, but they were just not getting enlightened, okay, because that progress was more on a mental level. I just want to point that out, just so
mm,
that that's why I was always so keen and always stressing out this thing of breath and a mantra and nothing elaborate at all, just keeping it completely basic. Because Angie, there is such a huge temptation to mentally engage and mentally progress and mentally
mm.
deepen the sitting. You know what I mean?
Right.
It is so easy to do, especially with people who are already used to it and who are doing it year after year after year, decade after decade, and so on and so on. But they're not progressing, Angie, in a way of awakening
Mm.
because they are mentally progressing and they can make, I mean, you can make mental progress, Angie, in that area, you can.
You're saying you can make mental progress by ticking off those
Yeah, what I mean
boxes.
is just it's
Right.
just a mental progress. It's not an actual
Mm,
awakening, but you mentally you sort of have these feelings mentally that you're progressing, that are going deeper and deeper, that your legs are gone, your arms are gone, you whatever, you know what I mean, mentally, and then gives you a very good mental feeling of that is actually comes from the thought that everything is going nicely, you're progressing, you are, you don't feel your body anymore, and all this and all this.
So how would you know
But
you're progressing? What's the marker, the measurement for that? Is
mentally,
there no measure?
oh, that is not mental. That is not
Right.
mental. Yeah, there is no thoughts about anything about the body or this or that or whatever. You're not, you're not even mentally noticing that you are progressing, or that you're not feeling the body, or you're not feeling this, you're not feeling that. You're not sort of, you're just there, but you're not there. And you feel,
So
Angie, you see, this is a very important point I want to say now. You feel this high vibration, Angie. This is so important. You can mentally progress without a high vibration forever, and sit forever, and have this mental progress. But you do not get into you do not experience the high vibration that happens and opens in the chest area. This is so very important. When you're really in the stream, the vibration is higher than when you are mentally engaging. And it is noticeable, the vibration is higher. And it is like an opening of the heart. It's sort of, in a way, if you could describe it with words, you would say it's an opening in the chest area. But it is a vibration. You are in that vibration. Whatever it is vibration, energy field, vibration. And the light with time increases. But vibration is the point. This is the difference between the
mm,
mental practice, the practice that is progressing but mentally, and the practice that is progressing but actually through connecting with the energy and the vibration of this pure existence or energy field. There is an energy field. There is just an energy field, nothing else, just an energy field.
so how do I know the difference?
The vibration, if you do not have vibration, if you do not feel any vibration, if it doesn't intensify the vibration, which is becomes very obvious, it
Does
is,
it?
you're mentally progressing. You're mentally progressing. You're not progressing. Uh, you
It
know,
is
you're not getting to the chest area.
I guess what I'm asking is it how do you experience vibration? I mean, that sounds stupid, but I don't know if I understand.
Just like an energy current, electricity current going through, and you are in that electricity current. You're in that energy field. You're in
Okay.
the energy field. In a
Okay.
normal
So
day, in a normal environment, when we live on a surface, mentally engaging all the time, there is no. We're just empty. We're running on empty. But then we connect
mm,
to this machine, to this motor. It's like plugging yourself in. You plug yourself into this energy field. You can't miss it. I mean,
mm,
I don't know how to, but I say
no,
energy field.
I got it. That's what I feel already. Not
That's it.
constantly, of
You see,
course, but
that's it. That is not mental progress. That is a pure progress with connecting with this energy field. That is actually pure existence, or whatever you call it. Unprocessed,
so
not
that's
processed mentally.
right. That's the measuring stick that should be used rather than like
Absolutely.
something.
Absolutely.
Oh, okay.
When you go in, when you breathe, it comes with time. You have to, that's why I always say, and sometimes I forget, focus on the chest area, on the heart, focus on this area, because the vibration energy comes through this area. It's felt through
Mm,
this area. It feels like you plug into, and feels like it's opening, this area is opening, and it's plugged into this energy field that is just everywhere. I mean, this that's why people use this expression, Angie, energy field, which is sometimes
blah blah.
a bit too slack expression. What is
Mm,
it exactly? I mean, it's hard to pinpoint it, but it's a chest area, energy field, vibration being plugged in,
mm.
something like that. I can't describe it much more different. But you have to focus on this. on this area when you breathe and when you mantra or whatever. Focus on the chest area, and you will feel, and you probably already feel, Angie, the chest. I don't know, like the opening or the slight sort of a energy movement, or I don't know, whatever you call it. I don't know what to call it.
It feels more like a full body experience for me, not just an isolated, like
Fair
more
enough,
like.
fair enough. But there is a difference in a feel of whatever you feel. Yeah, from before when you're mentally engaging, then you go
Right.
to this different sort of
Mm,
engagement. That's what you
mm,
need to feel sooner or later. A different quality of engagement, or a different quality of experience, not engagement, experience, a different quality of experience than when you're engaging mentally.
mm.
Like once you're in a stream, I've sort of got this thing open all the time. Not always at the
Right.
same strength, Angie, okay? I can go deeper than this. Now I'm talking and I'm sort of engaging on a physical level, but it's still
Mm.
here. But then I can obviously go deeper when I all, Angie, I use the breathing and the mantra so many times during the day, you wouldn't believe it. It just goes deeper, and it opens even more, and it's sort of, you're completely in it.
So you're saying still at this
But
point
even,
after you're awakened, you're still using the
oh,
same.
I never stopped. I never
Mm.
stopped. I'm never going to stop. I can't see why I would stop. I'm
Is
I'm
it
I- I'm always in this
is it a
energy field
volitional
now, but I
act
can.
or a volitional effort to
No,
like
no, just
it
no, no.
just
I
keeps
don't think
running?
about it.
Okay, yeah.
I don't think
Something like
about.
that.
I don't think about it. But I can notice that everything, I can notice. I said that once to you. Even once you are so called officially awakened or whatever, I don't even like using these words anyway, but once you enter the space more and you enter this energy field even slightly, okay, there is
Mm,
such a long way to go, Angie. Deeper and deeper, and more vibration, more, I mean, there is a long way to go.
mm.
But you're in it, aren't you? Once you're in it, you're in it. You are not coming out, because because there is no attachment to the thoughts. You see, this is very important. You see, now I talk to you, but I'm in a stream because I don't attach to the thoughts.
Right, but you
The
said if
thoughts are coming through.
right, but if others or myself is in the stream, I'm still attached to thoughts, and maybe not at that right moment.
So you
But
have moments when you are completely in a stream, when you're not attaching, but then you attach, so you're not
mm,
completely in a stream, and then you come
right.
back and so on. So you're in and out, in and out, in and out. But with practice, you're prolonging these in periods. You're changing the ratio between in periods and out periods. And then it
Mm,
becomes automatic. It becomes automatic, and then you don't do I don't do anything about it, Angie. Nothing. It's not.
right.
Before, it was a volitional act on my side. I was, practicing, and then whenever I realized I got caught in the thought, I looked at the thought and I saw it disintegrate. Then I went back to the practice. Volitional. I
Mm,
mean, I did it. I did it. I did it. I did it. On purpose, again and again and again. But one day, it becomes automatic, and then you're done.
mhm,
I mean, not
mm,
you're not done. You go on and on. But what I mean is, you are in. It doesn't
right.
matter the depth, Angie. The depth is not important. Once you reach it, even a tiny bit of depth, you're in it, and then you're just deepening going even deeper, getting even more into the stream with time.
So you're saying I couldn't make a choice and just be totally out of it, out of the stream? I guess that's my fear coming back
No,
around to full circle on this thing. That's my
no.
fear with the getting a job, a full-time job. I feel like I'm
I
gonna
mean, Angie,
disappear.
look, Angie, I do jobs.
Mm,
I'm not a manager. I don't want to be manager, but I reckon, Angie, I could handle even that if I would want to do it. I'm
mm,
not interested. I see things very clearly. I remember much more things than majority of people. I notice things that most people don't notice.
Mm.
I'm with someone and I pretty much can sense that person very rather deep, you know what I mean? Like, and I sense always the way the things are going. I'm in no confusion about that. I'm always very clear which way the things are going, which is very useful.
Mm. Yes.
I just want to tell you, Angie, don't think about these things because you're not there, okay?
Mm.
But I just want to give you an example of me. I'm not obviously the smartest person in the world, but I'm still quite smart, okay? Although I'm in the stream. There are areas I'm not interested in, but I never was, like computer and this and that and whatnot. The things that I want to know, I Google, as I always say to you. I'm not burdened with that. I don't
Mm.
collect. I don't collect thoughts, you know. People collect thoughts as a way of knowledge. They think this is knowledge. It is knowledge. It is knowing, it is knowledge. And then they hang on to this collection of thoughts and they
Mm.
block the space
Mm.
and they are proud, you know. But it's just bloody, honestly, working just the opposite, you know. They're blocking themselves from the space.
Right.
And people are so proud of this knowledge, but it's really, Angie, more a burden than not. Let's make that clear.
I get you.
Because
Yeah.
anything you want to know nowadays, you can look it up in an instant.
Mm.
And there is no need to hang on to this collection of so called facts, which are just mental concepts, and hang on to it and hang on to it just because I've got all this knowledge that I'm now sort of hanging on to. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
and people study and study and study, and then they want to cram more in, more in, more in, and completely block the space. They have no, you know, no chance in a lifetime if they go the direction to ever even feel the space a little bit because it's also blocked with these things that
Mm.
they're hanging on to because they're so proud of all these things that they know. Like, you know what I mean? Like as knowledge.
Mm.
But you don't need to, Angie, hang on to it. It's everything is in the space. When you want it, you'll find it, you know. I derailed. my
Doesn't
train is
matter.
going completely off the tracks.
Doesn't matter. It's a space. Mm.
It doesn't matter,
I was
no. It
enjoying
doesn't
the
matter at all.
space.
It doesn't matter at all. And do not worry, please. I'm just talking to all of you, whoever see this or spend time with Angie and me. Just please do not worry about what you need to do in on a physical level. What you need to do, you do it. As simple as that. Responsibilities, yes, embrace them. Embrace them. They are part of a life on a physical level. And we are not dead. And when we are enlightened, when we enter the space, we will give even more because we will be able to give even more in a way. In a way. You understand me, Angie? In a way, because
Mm.
we'll space and we'll be able to share this space with other people, which is a beautiful thing. But you might have to work around it and so on and so on. And don't worry about it either because the short bursts are the way to go. And base things on what you experience in your everyday life. You know, base your practice on what you experience in everyday life. If there is something you struggle with in your
Yeah.
everyday life, in your 24 hours, you practice with that
Mm.
to try and get it, you know, more of a normal thought that is not a struggle, but just something manageable that you can just let pass, you know. Make that an object of your practice. Practice should be a live thing, alive, you know, alive, alive.
Yes.
You deal with what you come across in everyday life.
Beautifully said.
Yeah. And don't run away from it. There is no need. There is no need. And we can always give, regardless of whether we're in a space or not, or blah, 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 we can always give. And giving is, we have to be able to give and receive both ways, and do it both with open heart, both giving and receiving. I give with open heart and I receive with open heart. I don't mean me, just me, but you see what I mean?
Mm. Yep.
If someone gives something to you with the open heart, you take it with the open heart and it's welcome. And you also give it with the open heart and it's welcome the other way.
Mm.
Anyway, Angie, greetings to all our viewers. Hope you, if we want anything from this, is that you spend some time in the space with Angie and me, isn't it?
Mm.
Even if all the words are forgotten, all the blah blah is gone with the wind, as it should, as it should. The experience of space is something that you can take with you, and use.
Mm.
Anyway, thank you, Angie. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you,
We'll
Di.
see you next
Next
week.
week. Mm.